So what does it really mean to be Bhutanese-Nepali? For a whole new generation, this isn't just some simple question. It's actually at the very heart of who they are, and it's causing a lot of confusion, a lot of personal conflict. So today, we're going to dive deep and try to understand why.
Okay, so this is the central question, right? Bhutanese or Nepali? It's a huge conflict for the Bhutanese diaspora. It's like, are we Bhutanese, connected to this land we were kicked out of? Or are we Nepali, because that's the language we speak, that's the culture we live and breathe every single day? And let me tell you, for so many people, the answer is not simple at all.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures that generational gap. Think about it. If you were born in a refugee camp in Nepal, or maybe your little sister was born right here in America, that connection to Bhutan, it can feel super distant. It feels more like a story that belongs to your parents or your grandparents, not something that's really yours.
So what we're looking at here is a real fundamental conflict. It's a clash between the land of your ancestors, the language you grew up with, and heck, even the passport you might have in your pocket right now. It's a full-blown identity crisis, and it's all rooted in this really painful history of displacement.
But here's a really interesting way to look at it, coming from writer and researcher Shivalal Dahal. He says the key is to stop thinking of it as either or. These two identities can actually coexist. So your cultural identity, that's Nepali. It's the language, the traditions, everything you practice. But your national, your legal identity, that's Bhutanese. It's tied to a political history, a claim to a piece of land. It's not one or the other, it's both.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this whole dual identity thing, we've got to go back. Way back. We need to look at the very beginning of the Nepali-speaking community's journey to Bhutan. So, how did it all get started?
Well, this journey started centuries ago. I mean, we're talking as early as 1624, when Nepali speakers were actually invited into Bhutan through formal legal agreements. The really big wave of settlement, though, kicked off after 1865. That's when the community was officially brought in to settle and cultivate southern Bhutan. And here's the crucial part. This wasn't illegal immigration, not at all. It was a state-sanctioned project. It laid the foundation for a community that thrived for over 100 years, right before that very same community was tragically and violently kicked out in the 1990s.
Now, what's so fascinating is that this history, it's not just based on stories passed down through generations. Nope, there's a powerful piece of physical evidence, a real, legal document that completely anchors the community's claim to being Bhutanese.
It's called a kasho. Think of it like a royal edict, an official government order. And this one specific kasho from 1887 is basically the smoking gun. It's the earliest known legal proof we have that the Nepali-speaking community was not only there, but their presence and their rights were officially sanctioned by Bhutan.
And get this, to put that date, 1887, into perspective, this legal document was issued a full 20 years before the modern Wangchuck monarchy was even a thing in Bhutan. That didn't happen until 1907. So what does that tell you? It proves the community's roots in that land run deeper than the modern Bhutanese state itself.
And the words on this document, they are just so powerful. This wasn't some casual suggestion. It was a legally binding contract. It literally grants specific people, Sardar Dalchan Gurung and his son, the right to the land, the right to settle it, and it even promises them legal protection from anyone who might try to oppress them. And the most remarkable part, this official government document was written in Nepali.
So you can see why this one single piece of paper is just so incredibly important. It proves, without a doubt, that the settlement was legal. It validates Nepali as a language of the state. It establishes that historical presence before the modern monarchy. And it totally transforms the community's identity from just, being residents to having a real, foundational, legal claim to being Bhutanese.
And that one document, it basically set the stage for the next 100 years. A whole century where the Nepali language wasn't just something spoken by a minority group. No, it was woven right into the fabric of the Bhutanese state itself.
I mean, look at this. From 1887 all the way up to the late 1980s. The evidence is just overwhelming. You had all the government paperwork and land records in the South done in Nepali. The language was formally taught in schools. They even developed their own textbooks just for Bhutanese students. The national newspaper, Quinsel, was published in Nepali. They even translated major national laws into Nepali just to make sure everyone was on the same page.
So the big takeaway here is that for a whole century, Nepali wasn't just some regional dialect spoken in the south, it became the lingua franca of Bhutan. You know, the common language, the bridge language that connected all these different communities, north, south, east, west, and it actually helped build the modern nation. Which brings us all the way back to today. We're faced with this incredible, powerful history that's been almost forgotten. So how does a community that's now scattered all over the globe reclaim that story? How do they give their kids a clear sense of who they are?
Well, the answer might just lie in a single word: birasat. It's a beautiful word that means legacy or heritage, but it's more than that. It's not just about what happened in the past. It's about making an active choice about which parts of that past we're going to carry forward to define who we are now and who we're going to be.
And that idea of choosing to remember is why there's now a call to action growing within the community. The idea is to establish a Language Legacy Day every September. Why September? Because that's the month the 1887 edict was signed, marking the official start of that 100-year legacy of the Nepali language in Bhutan.
And the goal of a day like this, it's really not just about looking backward. It's about remembering history with solid, factual evidence, like that 1887 document. It's about honoring the ancestors who literally built parts of that nation with their own two hands. And maybe most importantly, it's about giving the younger generations a historical anchor, a solid, concrete reason to be able to stand up and proudly say, yeah, my culture is Nepali and my national heritage is Bhutanese.
And so, we're left with this final thought. Because history, it isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we all have a responsibility to remember, to document, and to pass on. Because if we don't, the stories, the struggles, the entire identity of a people, it can just get lost to time. So the question for all of us is, what will we choose to remember?